This episode is brought to you by Distill Union. Hi everyone, this is Edgar, the host of Snug Wrestling. They design everyday carry gear with one simple idea: less but better. From slim Wally wallets with magnetic closures to Ferris key organizers, they keep everything clean and quiet. Distill Union makes carrying your essentials effortless. Built from full grain leather and backed by a 3-year warranty, simplify your carry and save 20% off with promo code SNUG at DistillUnion.com. That's 20% off with promo code SNUG at DistillUnion.com.
Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Snug Wrestling. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
All right, welcome to another episode of Snug Wrestling. Tonight is the February 23rd, 2026 edition of the Monday Night Raw review. This is also the go-home edition, or at least it was supposed to be, but definitely didn't feel like it, episode of Monday Night Raw. But before we get into it, my name is Mr. Blood. I am joined by the founder, the host, the fearless leader of Snug Wrestling, Edgar, the amazing Toxic, and the always chipper Tommy, the Snug Wrestling Crew. Gentlemen, please let the people know how you're doing today before we crack this thing wide open.
I am doing better. Those that don't know, I've been going through mental issues, which I'm getting better slowly. But it's just great to be back, and I miss doing this whenever I'm not able to, because I just can't that day or something like that. But I'm glad to be back. The show was really good in my opinion.
But the show itself, ups, it had its downs. The ending was sad as all hell. But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, I think it's a good way, a good start of the week as far as wrestling goes. This episode of Raw didn't really feel like a go-home show because Elimination Chamber is this week, but at least it felt like, there was a lot of stars in the building, a lot of celebrities. It kind of had a different energy compared to like last week's episode of Monday Night Raw. Overall, there's a lot more high points of the show, especially because it was like AJ Styles. It was like his goodbye, right? It was highly focused on AJ Styles, which was cool. We saw some people from TNA. It was an exciting Monday Night Raw. A lot of good moments, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, as far as it goes, it was, the biggest thing about this AJ Styles tribute show, right, was that WWE said it was a tribute show, but they never actually said AJ Styles was going to be in the building. So there was a lot of speculation going around. It's just going to be just a bunch of video packages, because if you remember on the 20th or 25th anniversary of the Rock edition of Monday Night Raw years ago during COVID, The Rock didn't even show up. They just played a bunch of video packages, said some stuff about him, and that was it. So we didn't know what we were going to get here because WWE's tribute shows are usually hit and miss. But we did kick off the show with someone who has a lot to do with AJ Styles himself. And that was when the show was immediately hijacked by Gunther off the bat. He gets in the ring and he says that, why are we here celebrating AJ Styles? They should be celebrating me. After all, Goldberg and John Cena and AJ all have two things in common. One, I killed their careers and they're all losers. Adam Pearce gets pissed off, interrupts Gunther, tries to make him leave security, but Gunther says he's only leaving because the tribute show is a disgrace to his greatness. Then, out of nowhere, halfway up the ramp, Dragon Lee jumps Gunther. They get into a brawl that then also leads backstage. And that is where the opening segment ends before it goes into the second segment of the night, which would be Cody Rhodes. But we'll get into that in just a moment. Guys, what did you think of the opener, at least around Gunther and Dragon Lee?
Yeah, I am so happy that Dragon Lee shut him up, even though he got shut up by Adam Pearce way before Dragon Lee came out. But I just want to see a match between the two already. I mean, we've been seeing this since Gunther beat AJ, so I'm just excited to see a match between the two. The opener, it was probably the only thing on the show that I didn't like because of, it's Gunther, and we all know my vendetta against Gunther. But just, I don't know, this is the only thing that I didn't like on the show.
Yeah, Gunther's gotta be Gunther. He just has to be. Thank you for reminding us, Gunther, that you have taken away two of the greatest names in all of wrestling. Fuck you. But still, this was a very good way of starting the show. Starting off with a feud that's just now building up as of more recently. We were hoping it would be Rey Mysterio there instead of Dragon Lee, but it's still Dragon Lee. We're getting that match next week. Now, Gunther, everything you said, yeah, sure. You may be speaking truth that you did retire these three men, two of them being considered the greatest of all time. One of them, people just don't like in general, that being Goldberg. But still, Gunther, yes, you did retire these three men. That does not mean you are as good as your ego loves to hype up.
Man, oh man. This is how we kick things off, right? I was curious to see where this was going to go because we had Gunther and Brock Lesnar that were both scheduled to be in this Monday Night Raw. But I mean, we'll talk about Lesnar later on, but we didn't get, nothing came about this really. I mean, we got an attack from Dragon Lee, which, okay, now I'm starting to wonder where that's going to go. Is it going to happen? Are they going to have a match at the Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania? Is that really something that we want to see at WrestleMania? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Gunther had mentioned that he was going to try to interfere or interrupt this AJ Styles tribute. I mean, that kind of happened at the beginning of the show, but didn't really cross paths with AJ Styles either. So yeah, this was kind of one of the low points for me for the show, if I'm being honest. I mean, I was happy to see Dragon Lee attack Gunther. I like both of these guys, but I don't know, man. I wasn't really too thrilled about this opening segment. I guess I had higher expectations, you know. Oh, Lesnar's going to be there. Gunther's going to be there. Oh, maybe we'll see them, you know, give us a little teeth. But no, there was nothing like that at all.
Well, we'll get into Lesnar here in a few because I honestly didn't even know he was advertised for the show. But when it comes down to it, I agree that this felt like something they could have just scrapped out of the script because how the end of the show goes, you know, that's a 15, 20 minutes right there. This being taken out of the original show, this could have saved 5 to 10 minutes off of tonight's runtime. And I don't think anybody would have missed it. I don't think anybody would have cared if Gunther's opening segment just wasn't there to begin with, especially when this entire opening segment transitioned into the next thing we're going to talk about. Cody Rhodes stands over Gunther as Gunther begins to get up after this Dragon Lee beatdown, and it transitions into Cody just giving Gunther a very disappointed look before he walks out onto the stage. And he begins to talk about, I know what we want to talk about. We want to talk about who we're all here for tonight, AJ Styles. And before Cody can really get anything out to the audience, he's interrupted by the Vision. Now, the Vision comes out before Paul Heyman can even say anything. The crowd boos him. So Austin Theory takes the mic and says, you know, I hate that I'm from this place. I hate that I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, getting some easy heat on himself. How dare you disrespect the Vision? You know, all of this while trying to put over Bronson Reed by saying, you know, Bronson Reed is going to go on and win the qualifier tonight. He's going to go on to win the chamber. Then he's going to go on to win at WrestleMania. And we're going to get into that about Bronson here in a few minutes from the match. So we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. But, you know, when it came down to it, out of nowhere, then the Usos interrupt. And this started to track something with me. There was a lot of interrupting tonight during segments. A lot. Now, when it came down to it, this started the qualifier match, which we'll get into. But I don't really think there's much to say about this. So I'm going to go into the opener, the first match of the night, which was a chamber qualifier. It was a triple threat, you know, Snug's favorite. Bronson Reed versus Jey Uso versus Chad El Grande. And this match, you know, starts off Chad and Jay essentially try to work together to take on Bronson. Bronson overcomes the double teaming aspect. They do try throughout the match to work together, the two baby faces against the monster heel. Bronson kind of runs through them throughout a bunch of the match until we get to what I think was one of the saddest parts of the night. And that would be Bronson Reed injuring himself while breaking up a pin that Chad Gable had on Jey Uso. Now, later in the night, we got an injury update on him. He suffered a distal bicep tear. They showed us the replay that after he breaks up this pin, he immediately looks at the very end of his bicep to his forearm, and he's down on the apron on the ringside talking to the doc, talking to the ref. And this left it on Chad and Jay to finish this match without Bronson. So for a moment there, they tried to recover, figure out a way to get to the finish, and Jey Uso gets the win over Chad Gable. But I got to be honest here, guys. This match was going really good for me. I was really enjoying it. I thought Bronson looked amazing. I think he was the highlight of this match up until the point he gets injured, unfortunately. And we wish you all the best in your recovery, Bronson. They did let us know he's going to be out indefinitely. So that's the two starting members behind Seth of the Vision are now both on the shelf. This is a nightmare. Injuries are just plaguing this WrestleMania this year. And I honestly believe Bronson was going to win here tonight. It felt like it had a Bronson win all over it. And this was highly disappointing, but not because it's anybody's fault. It just sucks to see momentum get cut down like this time and time again, but with the same group that's on the rise. Guys, please give me your thoughts on all of this and just, what'd you think of the match, but how did it feel to see? How did you feel seeing Bronson Reed get injured right in front of you, realizing, fuck, man, there goes the rest of the wind out of the Vision?
I mean, I don't know how, but as soon as I got I found out that this was the next qualifying match, I'm like, okay, I don't know why, but I have a feeling Bronson is 100% getting injured in this match. And look what happened. I'm like Drew McIntyre. I prayed for this and it happened. No, not really. But the match was really good, even before Bronson injured himself. To be honest, this match was the match kind of got better without Bronson, but Bronson, I don't know how to describe it, but the match was great overall, and all three members of the match played a key detail. It's just, I don't know why. I just feel like Bronson, because he got injured, and it's not that it's his fault or Jay or Chad. It's just, I feel like this match could have happened and still felt the same way, even if Bronson wasn't in the match. And then this also leads to the question, what do you do with the Vision? I mean, you got Logan Paul now, and you got Austin Theory, which that could be cool, but they just have to execute it the right way, which I don't think they will. But I'm really scared for the Vision because, I mean, this is a new faction, or new, but just, I don't know. And I don't want to see them break this faction up because of injuries. That would fucking suck.
Oh, yeah. I definitely feel bad for the Vision, especially with the fact that their biggest member, that being Braun Breaker, was just injured and is going to be out for a while. Now you've got Bronson Reed, who's going to be out for a while. Who's going to be next to step up for all of this? Is it going to be Austin Theory? Or is it going to be Logan Paul? Or is it going to be the man that we all don't want to see?
Paul Heyman.
No, but Paul Heyman was on the side of later in the night, but we'll get to that. That being Brock Lesnar. We all completely forget all the time that Paul Heyman still has Brock Lesnar in his back pocket, which means it's a possibility that he could be with the Vision via Paul Heyman. And there you go. So he might be the next big name for the Vision, for all we know.
Man, this match, I think it put Monday Night Raw on a completely different path than what it was supposed to be. Because of the injury, it just, I don't know, man, the energy shifted in that arena. I can feel it at home, man. The pacing of the entire show, I feel completely changed because of that, and it just happened to be in the opening match. It kind of just makes you wonder like how this thing was supposed to go. I think you're right. I think Mr. Blood is right. I think maybe Bronson Reed was going to win this thing and go on to the Elimination Chamber, because I don't think, is Logan Paul or Austin Theory in the chamber? I don't think so, right? So we have no one from the Vision in the chamber, which is odd to even say that. And yeah, man, I mean, I saw the replay of Bronson Reed's injury a few times, and I still I don't know how that, it just seemed like a standard thing, breaking up a count. And then next thing you know, Bronson Reed is out of the ring. And if you have, international Netflix or whatever, you don't have commercial breaks. You can see Jey Uso and Americano Chad Gable standing in the middle of the ring, just looking at each other for an entire minute of it was just confusion. And they're just standing there waiting for Bronson Reed. And it just, time stood still. And it's just what the fuck? This is legit. He legit hurt himself. And it's fuck. Someone on social media said, man, the curse of the Vision. And I'm starting to believe it, bro. Because right before WrestleMania, man, two of the upcoming stars, Bronson and Braun Breaker, out of WrestleMania. Well, maybe it's too soon to say. Maybe there's still a chance Bronson Reed can make it back before Mania. Hopefully, I don't know. But yeah, man, this shit fucking sucks. I don't wish that on nobody, man.
I mean, at the end of the day, what really sucks about this is that curse of the Vision thing. Let's not forget, it started with Seth getting injured, which forced them to pivot to the turn of Braun and Bronson on Seth. Then Braun Breaker gets injured, which turns them to pivot towards Bronson being the heavy guy in charge. Now they're going to have to pivot again. The scary thing that worries me is the WWE is creative going to just get cold feet on this whole Vision story, because they're going to run out of ideas unless you're planning on pushing Logan as the main face because he's the most crossover star. He's the biggest name now in the Vision, or you're going to just pull the trigger on Austin Theory. And, this throws so many plans out the window. Unless Braun is back in time for that planned Mania match between him and Seth that the reports are coming in on, and unless Seth is back in time so they can have a one-on-one, that's the only way I think you salvage this, because in my opinion, this Mania was going to be the year of the Vision. The Mania was scheduled to put these guys on the map. It was going to put them on the map. We're talking the amount of time that WWE has put into this story is now 12 months deep from the Mania main event of night one at 41 last year, with the turn of Seth and the turn of Paul Heyman. And the next night on Raw, 2 nights later on Raw, all of a sudden we have an alignment with Bronson Reed, with Braun Breaker. And now, fucking 10 months later, 3 of those men, the 3 that started this, are now all on the shelf. What a difference a year makes, but god damn it, man, you worry, because this was definitely going places. And now we've got to wait to see what the fuck happens and hope that at least 2 of these guys, Braun and Seth, can make it back in time for WrestleMania. So from the Snug Wrestling Podcast, Bronson, we wish you the best. Heal up quick, man, and you will be missed. You will be missed.
Literally weeks before Mania too, man. Literally weeks.
7 weeks. Crazy. But let's go ahead and move on, gentlemen.
What sucks as well is the fact that imagine how big that chamber would be. Imagine the pop of a tsunami off the top of one of the pods would have been, and how big that would have been for Bronson Reed. I also agreed that he probably would have been the one to win it, because he was made for the Elimination Chamber. It was basically made for big men like him.
I disagree that he'd be the guy to win. Cody's written all over that, considering the reports are it's supposed to be a planned triple threat between Jacob Fatu and Drew and Cody at Mania for that undisputed championship. I think Bronson would have come close, but I don't see them building all that story for him up on Raw, just to have him compete for a SmackDown championship. But
I was talking about winning the triple threat.
Let's move on for now. All right. When it comes down to it, guys, up next, we finally finally get the Liv Morgan promo segment we were waiting for, where she lets us know who she's facing at WrestleMania as if it was a fucking mystery. Starts off with Liv Morgan out there, and then Dominic Mysterio introduces both women's champions, the Undisputed Women's Champion and the World Heavyweight Champion. Stephanie Vaquer comes out first, and then Jade Cargill comes out, which I thought was dumb that they had her come out with the lights on. I mean, Jade's aura, half of her aura is in her entrance. Lights should have been out, should have come through the portal. I digress. But then we get a very interesting promo from Liv, a Liv we never really see, a serious and genuine Liv Morgan telling Stephanie Vaquer that she's right about the thing she said to Liv Morgan last week in that segment with Michael Cole. She says, "You're right. I was always thinking about my perspective. I never thought about what it was like from your side. You're right. I was here for 10 years with the best doctors, the best bookers, the best producers, the best this, the best that. I didn't have to train my craft all over the world. My opportunity was gifted to me. You hardened yourself in every conceivable way, and you are a champion that built herself from the ground up." Here's the interesting part about this. I feel like this segment almost turned Stephanie Vaquer heel to the audience because they love Liv so much. Did you notice that when Liv Morgan was putting over Stephanie, the crowd was booing it? They were actively booing Liv putting over Stephanie, which I thought, oh, damn, the crowd's already turning on Stephanie. Then Liv turns to face Jade Cargill to psych her out and nail Stephanie Vaquer with the microphone, and then beats the brakes off of her. A little awkward in the beginning, won't lie. Looked like a botch in the corner, and then hits her with the Oblivion before throwing the title on her face. And essentially we know that Liv Morgan, surprise, surprise, no one saw this shit coming, is now facing Stephanie Vaquer at WrestleMania 42 for the World Championship. Gentlemen, what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this was complete fucking obvious. I mean, if you have a brain, you know that, I mean, based off the shit that Stephanie said last week, Liv's going after her. Before, if you wouldn't have did that last week, I would have had no idea who she was going after. I thought she would have went after Jade, because that's what, to me, that's what sites were pointing at. That's what it looked like. But then they had the stuff with Stephanie, and I mean, it's obvious. I didn't get the crowd turning on Stephanie, because, I mean, yes, she is the babyface acting heelish, so I get that part. But I mean, I don't know. It's just confusing to me. But I don't really have any thoughts about this. I mean, it was pretty obvious who she was going after, and I'm excited to see who wins the chamber to go after Jade.
Dude, this sucker could have been an email. It really could have. Because at this point, it was completely obvious who she was going for. The entire time, not once did I think, oh, she's totally going to go after Jade Cargill. No, not once did I think she was going after Jade. I always knew that she had to go after the women's world title, especially after Raquel couldn't get the job done. So literally, this could have been an email. Neither of those champions really needed to be out there. All she needed to say was, Stephanie Vaquer, I choose you. That's it. That's literally all that needed to be done.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally got a choice by Liv Morgan. I was wondering, when we were going to find out, and we found out tonight, finally. And yeah, it took Liv Morgan a while to get to the point, right? Because yeah, she was acting different. She was acting like not her usual heelish self, Liv Morgan, right? And then as soon as Liv Morgan tells Stephanie Vaquer, you know what? You're right. That's when the fans started booing. And I'm not sure if it was like, oh, the fans were booing because they just wanted Liv to get to the point and they were so anxious to find out who she was going to pick, or if they were booing because they don't like to see Liv Morgan admit that she's right because they rather see Liv Morgan just Liv Morgan, which she wasn't being Liv Morgan at first. She was being this understanding and reasonable and understanding person, which is weird, right? So yeah, regardless of why the fans reacted the way that they did, they booed. And I was booing because I'm just like, oh my God, just get to the fucking point. Just pick somebody, But that's just me. We were going to get Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer. But man, Liv Morgan was laying it in on Stephanie, man. She was laying it in. And I wonder if Stephanie Vaquer, I get this vibe from her that she's not one of those wrestlers that get really, I guess they're like really preppy. They're like, oh, don't hit me too hard, or, oh, be careful with my face, or no. Stephanie Vaquer, I feel like she's one of the ones that's like, hey, lay it in. When you hit me with that mic, hit me good. When you lay in those punches, make them look good. Because this shit looked, man, Liv Morgan was putting some extra stank on those fucking punches.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we finally got here. It's just a shame we wasted 3 weeks of fucking TV time to do this when it was a foregone conclusion. It was a foregone conclusion from the moment Liv won the Rumble. We all knew, oh, she's going to go after Stephanie because, again, there was a story already going on between the Judgment Day and Stephanie Vaquer with Raquel at the helm of it for a few weeks. But we knew that this is where it was going. And this was 3 weeks of wasted TV time, pointless segments to troll the audience, to drag it out, because this is the time of year where WWE always drags these stories for 2 months leading into Mania ever since they started booking Manias in April. Because back in the old days when Mania was in like fucking March, okay, you had Rumble, the Chamber, or No Mercy, or whatever Chamber used to be, and then you had Mania in March, the third month. So there was no having to wait an extra month and a fucking half to get to the fucking penultimate conclusion of these stories. So what we've suffered from in the last several years is this elongated, stagnant period between Chamber and Mania where every story just starts to fucking weigh on your patience. Case in point, I've made this example before, Gunther and Jey Uso last year. Okay, the fucking the Bianca Belair, Io Sky, and Rhea shit last year. This shit feels like it takes too long. There is a difference, WWE, between long-term storytelling and telling too long and too many terms to tell a story. But thank God we're here. But now we get to see this get dragged out for the next, checks notes, 7 fucking weeks. All right. Now, moving on to something I am pissed off about. Maxine versus Natalya was the generous, to say, the second match of the night. Because we've had this story since Natalya's turned heel. She's now Natty turned heel on Maxine during Maxine's defense of the Intercontinental Championship to Becky Lynch a couple of weeks ago, right? And they've been feuding on and off. They take a break, they come back. This is their second bout because a couple of weeks ago, Natalya basically got a count out on, it was a double count out on Maxine, put her in the fucking sharpshooter on the announcer table, and then tried to beat the piss out of her, right? Here we have another time where we're finally going to get a full match out of this, right? It starts off pretty hot. They're actually going back and forth pretty well. Maxine looks great. Natty looks great. Natty's making Maxine look great. Shit's connecting. No botches, no misses. It's awesome. Then out of nowhere, a bullshit finish of epic proportions that legit made me throw my pen across the room because they need to stop booking stupid shit like this. Kicking fucking Maxine back so hard that she turns and knocks herself out on the fucking ring post and then just fucking fish flounders on the ground, deadpan, and then it's due to ref stoppage. Natalya's the winner. The match ends. What a waste of 2.5 minutes of TV time. And I talked about this earlier where the Gunther segment could have just not been a part of the show. Why the fuck was this here? Because when it comes down to it, this didn't make Maxine look great. It didn't make Natalya look better either. It didn't make me think Natalya's vicious. The referee stoppage makes it look like it's an accident. Okay. So that doesn't make anybody look more badass than the other. It doesn't put anyone over because no one fucking actually won a clean, decent, decisive victory. This was a waste of time. It's the second time they've done this. It wasn't effective the first time because the first time the fans did not give a flying fuck, and they didn't care this time either. So move Maxine on from Natty or vice versa, or get these two in a fucking full-blown match that has a conclusive fucking ending, because this really just pissed me. Gentlemen,
I'm in the same boat. Why the fuck was this here? I mean, if you're gonna have them go against each other, and if you want to do something like this, don't have it finish by ref stoppage. Have it by disqualification, or hell, count out again, or just something else. But ref stoppage, I don't know. The only thing that I do have to say about this is that I'm not a big fan of Maxine's new theme, which I don't think anyone else paid attention except me, because I like paying attention to music. But I didn't like it. I'm not a fan of it.
Well, you better get used to this feud, boys, because I have a feeling it's going to be going on for 7 more goddamn weeks and ending at Mania. That's my biggest thing, is the fact that we have had this problem where we basically get nothing out of a feud that will end up being on a PLE at some point. That is exactly where this is going. I have a feeling like we are going to be looking at this for 7 more weeks just to get a conclusion of it at WrestleMania, just for them to finally go, hey, know all those really bad matches that these two have been having? Yeah, have fun. So that is exactly what I think is going to happen here. I am also in the same boat where this shouldn't even been here. You could have given AJ Styles 3 more minutes out of this, and this didn't need to be here whatsoever. Your main attraction at the end of the show could have talked a whole lot longer if this didn't go on at all.
you're muted.
Sorry about that. But goddamn, man, you guys, this shit really pissed you guys off, huh? I didn't really have a problem with this one because it's a women's match in the mid card. I mean, this isn't one of the major storylines on Monday Night Raw. I mean, for what it was for. I mean, it made sense to me, you know. It's Maxine Dupree, you know. It's Natty. This isn't fucking Rhea Ripley versus, I don't know, one of the other major stars in the women's division, right? So it was quick. It was easy. Maxine is still being featured on Monday Night Raw. You know, even if it is for a couple minutes, they're continuing to show her to the fans, let her know that, hey, look, she's still around. We're still going to be using her in this whatever they're doing with Natty. Natty got a little bit more heat on there. Maybe some people felt bad for Maxine, maybe. But, yeah, I mean, I would much rather see this than a fucking 10, 15-minute match out of Maxine Dupree, if I'm being...
My problem with this is that it doesn't do anything for either girls. That's my problem. It didn't make Natty look strong because, again, it looked like, oh, I kicked her into the post and I accidentally knocked her out. How can I be a badass? Oh, I'm going to try to beat on her. The ref's going to stop me. So I don't even get to get more heat on her because the ref won't let me. So it doesn't do anything for Natty, and it doesn't really give much sympathy to Maxine. In fact, it made her look like a moron. It was like a slip on a banana peel fucking Three Stooges ass finish. Whoop, 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 smack. Oh, unconscious. Like, it was just like, what the fuck? But also, when you think about it, you take the Gunther shit out at the start of the show, which no one needed there. You give this match 5 to 6 extra minutes, and we actually get a match out of this. That was my problem. But moving on, we're going to go on to what I thought was an incredibly good segment, short as it was, the Judgment Day segment backstage. All right. This was awesome. You know, JD comes back and he apologizes to Finn, right? They make up. He says, look, I owe my career to you, Finn. You know, you helped me get into wrestling. You broke the mold. We've been friends for 20 years. I want to let you know that I support you and that I want you to win the world championship and that I believe that you can win the world championship. And Finn goes, he apologizes, look, we're brothers. Sometimes brothers fight, but I want you to know I can and I will win this world heavyweight championship, but I still need to do it on my own. I need to prove it to myself. And finally, JD understands and he daps him up. And I thought that was great. What I loved was what follows this is Dom, like I said last week, blamed JD and Finn for not being there during his chamber qualifier and says they're the reason he lost because they weren't there. He says, Finn, you may want to do this on your own, but I don't. Further proving that Dom is just using them to advance his career and protect his spot as a double champion. And then Finn replies, you know what, Dom? Maybe you do need to learn how to do this on your own. Maybe, just maybe, you need to grow up. And he walks off. And I thought this was a great segment because it further shows those cracks in the Judgment Day. But now it's showing that Finn, trying to advance his career, is now somehow becoming an inconvenience for Dom himself, the only champion currently in the Judgment Day. And I thought this was a really cool role reversal for these two as far as the understanding one versus the selfish one. Because it was Finn being selfish for quite a long time whenever he had matches expecting people to save him. But now it's Dom acting as if his losses are because of his own friends. Guys, what did you think of this segment? Quick thoughts.
I also agree that this is probably the best short backstage segment, whatever you want to call it, because it explains both sides of where each member of the Judgment Day is coming from. JD, look, I understand you want to do it by your own, and I'm sorry for what I said. Finn, that's okay. We'll make up. And Dom, why the fuck were y'all out there? That basically, to sum it up, I enjoyed this, and yeah.
Good old Dom blaming everybody like he always does. That's the biggest thing I got out of this is the two boys, good old JD McDonough and Finn Balor, they are willing to go, hey, we messed up. We're all good. We fight, yes, but that is just how we are. But Dom is once again blaming other people for his losses because he can't get the job done. It further proves what's been going on my mind this entire time, ever since he first joined the Judgment Day in the first place, which is the fact that really he can't win matches without somebody being there. He needs help to succeed. And that's the entire reason why he went, yeah, sure, you want to do this on your own, but help me out along the damn way. So that was my biggest thing with Dom, is the fact that he's showing more and more that he needs them more than they need him.
I'm glad JD Madonna's back, but at first I was kind of rolling my eyes at this backstage segment because, okay, earlier we saw Liv Morgan telling Stephanie, oh, you're right, I have been lucky, and and then we go to this backstage segment and JD McDonough is apologizing to Finn Balor. Hey, I'm sorry, man, I got hit. And I'm like, okay, bro, like, we get it. Everyone is so understanding and everyone is so brotherly love over here. And I'm just like, that's not what I want to see from my heels. But I don't even know if JD Madonna is even a heel anymore. I don't know. But it did get a little bit better as soon as Dom stepped in the picture, because I actually agree with what Finn Balor was saying when he was like, whoa, hold on there, Dominic Mysterio. You think I'm worried about your little Intercontinental Championship? Well, he didn't say that, right? But he's like, I'm getting ready for a world title match. You think I'm worried? I should be worried about your Intercontinental Championship right now? No, bro. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's levels to this. Even Dom could maybe understand that. Like, yeah, maybe we should put a little bit more focus on the world fucking championship, the main title. But yeah, it was a good backstage segment.
What I'd like to note here is that the reason all of this worked is because this is when WWE's writing is at its best. Because the three main people in this segment all have different narratives. You have JD, who, and by the way, they're all heels. And just because you're a heel group doesn't mean you're heels to each other. Especially when you're in a stable, you are understanding to your stable mates. So you have JD, who is the humble, longtime friend, the brother figure to Finn. And he's letting Finn know in a Jimmy Uso role, I want you to succeed, even if it means I never reach where you go. I'm just here to have your back. And I like that narrative. Then you have Finn. Hey, I'm trying to prove to everybody, including myself, that I belong here. I always belonged here, and I always belonged at the top. No matter what anybody says, they can't take that away from me, especially if I win this Saturday. Then you have Dom's narrative, selfish, entitled, unlike the other two where JD is thinking about somebody else other than himself. Finn is thinking about his legacy and what he brings to the table. And Dom is thinking about what they can do for him and him alone. This is what I like. The different dichotomies in this storytelling. It's just great character development for everybody that's involved in the segment. And I thought this was the best written part of the show. Now, moving on to the worst part of this show. The part of this show that I thought was the dumbest box of fucking rocks. And this is the part. If you clip anything, Edgar, this is the rant I want you to fucking clip to piss these bitches off. When it comes down to it, Brock Lesnar comes out. The audience barely gave a fuck. The reaction he got, it was one of the smaller pops of the night. Let that sink in. Now, Paul Heyman says Brock is basically making an open challenge for WrestleMania. This means, I can just get on the card. I don't got to do shit to earn a spot. I am basically the Undertaker. I'm the new attraction. Whoever answers this challenge, which, spoilers, nobody fucking did, even though the crowd was chanting Oba, Oba, because we just saw him in the segment literally in the middle of before this, after the Judgment Day shit. The crowd barely gives a shit the majority of this whole segment because they know what I fucking know. This was clearly a desperate fucking attempt to spike ticket sales. You cannot tell me, I don't care what they put on WWE Unreal, you will not sell me on the fact that this was the plan for Brock Lesnar at Mania 3 weeks ago. No, when they realized they were doing, because the report said they were taking any, at the corporate meetings, any ideas to pitch, to gain ticket sales, to get this Mania bumped up, because they are 19% down on ticket sales from last year. Only 37,000 tickets sold both nights of Mania a piece this Mania so far. They're down 17,000 from last year on year. This was a desperate ploy to get more star power at Mania because their booking has been lackluster and the ticket sales are through the roof because TKO is a fucking greedy ass company trying to use WWE to bury themselves out or dig themselves out of the debt UFC put them in. And this was a blatant attempt to use Brock Lesnar's name to push sales just so people would talk. There was nothing going into this, no fanfare, no Gunther involvement, nothing other than, hey, I'm stealing a spot at Mania. Come answer the fucking call. I'll be here all throughout March and April. Keep buying tickets to come see me. Thanks. Fuck this. Fuck this. Fuck this. Your thoughts?
Simple thoughts, not a lot. Fuck Brock. And that's my thoughts.
Tox, I love it, man. One little thing, and that's it. But there's one thing that I would love to see, and I'm with the fans on this. Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar. They already had that face-off over at the Rumble. Hell yeah. Give me that. But it seems like Obafemi has to go through another big man first. That being Rusev Day is the man that he has to go through first. But again, I would not mind at WrestleMania Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar. I wouldn't mind it.
All right, I'm confused. Like, what's the problem with Brock Lesnar being on the card for WrestleMania? Now, before you guys answer this, I mean, think about it. This is a promotion. They promote matches. They promote fights. So if they have Brock Lesnar on the card, obviously any person that they put on this card, it's to sell tickets, it's to attract audience, it's to get viewers or get people to go. If that means putting Brock Lesnar on the card, why are you guys so surprised by this? I don't get it.
Because it reeks of desperation. Because I have no problem with Brock being on this card, though I can't stand the fucker. And I think I right now, I just don't trust him until this Janelle Grant stuff gets sorted out. And by the way, if you haven't seen the Janelle Grant full press conference from earlier or late last week, it is on our Instagram, the full presser. Please go and watch that at Snug Wrestling on Instagram. But when it comes down to it, we need to understand something. There was nothing in the wings for Brock Lesnar. Even at Rumble, he gets eliminated randomly during Jey Uso's fucking entrance. We posted the video today of him literally telling Cody in LA to eliminate him mid-entrance because he just didn't give a shit. So when it came down to it, there was nothing planned for him at this Mania concrete. No story going in, nothing really set up. A stare down with Oba, sure. Here's the problem. If you want to get him on the card, all for it. Put him in a story, an angle, something that sets something up other than a lazy fucking open. This was lazy. That's my problem. It was lazy. It was, I'm Brock Lesnar. You guys like to see me. Who's going to face me? Tune in over the next 7 fucking weeks to find out, because we're not going to do anything. There was a long, awkward pause when they stopped talking. They're just pacing around the fucking ring for a minute straight, and they realized no one's coming out. Okay, I guess we'll get out of the ring. Like, this was lazy. If you want Brock at Mania, fine. There was a better way to do this that was narratively sound, actually written with something in mind other than, well, we're going to announce from an open challenge and we're probably just going to figure it out later, because they probably don't even know who the fuck they want to face him at Mania. And considering the reports just dropped that they literally had a whole meeting because TKO was blaming Triple H for low ticket sales, because it couldn't be the fact that they're oversaturating a market 2 years in a row. They're blaming Triple H for the low ticket sales for Mania. And they took meetings last weekend and they said, any ideas to boost ticket sales, no matter what it is, even a Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul match, throw anything at the wall, see what sticks to move ticket sales. And next thing you fucking know, random ass fucking Brock Lesnar on Monday Night Raw for an open challenge announced 7 weeks in advance. It was lazy.
Okay. Well, I'm not surprised by this at all. Okay. Like, Brock Lesnar came back a few months ago. He's been on and off TV a couple times here since then. At the Rumble, he got eliminated by Cody at LA Knight. There has been several reports, and again, these reports are all speculation because, like you said, Mr. Blood, maybe they don't even know what they're going to do yet, right? There's been reports that, Brock Lesnar could face Gunther. I've even seen Brock Lesnar can face LA Knight. That stare down that Brock Lesnar had with Obafemi. Oh, let's put him versus Brock at WrestleMania. They have a lot of things that they can do with Brock Lesnar, but it's about creating buzz. They want to create, anticipation. And it goes back to the only problem that I had with this is like, okay, we just got done figuring out who Liv Morgan is going to face. Now we have to play the waiting game with Brock Lesnar again. And I was kind of hoping that we can get someone to come out and interrupt Lesnar. And maybe we can start with something, something there. We have a few weeks until Mania. Whoever that person is, if it was LA Knight, Obafemi, or Gunther, anybody, I would have loved to know who that person was tonight. But we didn't. But however, they're promoting Lesnar at Mania. But they're also promoting Lesnar on the following Monday Night Raws. They put up the calendar. Lesnar's going to be on these Raws. So they're also creating buzz around Lesnar for the WrestleMania buildup. It's not just like, oh, Brock Lesnar's going to face whoever and he's going to be at Mania. No, Brock Lesnar is going to be on Raw hyping up whatever match he's going to have at Mania. To me, it makes perfect sense.
Yes, it makes sense business-wise, storytelling-wise, audience intelligence-wise. It's lazy because it just reeks of, well, our ticket sales are down. And by the way, we haven't been selling out arenas like we were right after WrestleMania 40, and we haven't been selling them out consecutively for a while. So we're going to do exactly what we did for Roman Reigns last week. We're going to tell you every single week he'll be on the shows. So you keep tuning in because our ratings we want up. We want to fill more houses, and we need you at Mania because we're not doing well. It reeks. It literally feels like they're telling us, hey, please. It feels like they're begging. Please tune in. Please tune in. We need to sell out. Please tune in. So we're giving away everything. Brock, a story, anything to build up, anticipation. No, come out and announce you're going to be there anyway. And then we'll figure out the rest later. It's just like, yo, you got a whole writing team. Like, this is what you came up with. I guarantee you, they thought of this shit last week and thought, how much could we pay Brock to fly to Monday Night Raw? That's what it felt like. But I digress. Let's move on to the third match of the night. It's kind of sucks because the way the matches went tonight, this was match of the night by default because of the first match having injuries, so there was confusion. Maxine and Natty, if you can call it a fucking match, ends in ref stoppage. So we get to Javon versus Kofi, and yes, there's a match after this, but I think this one was better just from an athletic standpoint. This was set up from a backstage segment earlier in the night where Javon was doing an interview. He's there with the rapper Offset, who is the artist of the theme for this weekend's Elimination Chamber. And all of a sudden, the New Day interrupt, and we see Xavier still injured. He's in a sling. I believe he just had surgery. And basically, they're calling Javon out. Javon calls him back out. This sets up a match between Kofi and Javon. Of course, Xavier Woods and Grayson Waller come out with Kofi so they can cause an unlimited amount of distractions in this fucking match. But, heel's going to heel. And Offset comes out with Javon and kind of plays defender. Now, this match to me, I thought was great. Athletic, back and forth. I thought Kofi and Javon worked really well with each other. I thought they just complemented each other. Their styles are similar. Javon does remind me of a much younger Kofi, although, in my opinion, he's like an enhanced version of a younger Kofi. Even more athletic than Kofi, if that's fucking even possible, especially 08-09 Kofi. Great reversals, great work here, great heel work. And Javon, this is the part I want to highlight about Javon. This fucking kid is amazing. They not only did he get the win over Kofi with an insane fucking OG cutter that he almost overshot because this kid fucking flies so high. He's basically the Black Superman. Nails Kofi, pins him, and I want to highlight here, Javon Evans, who has been on the main roster for a cup of coffee, just pinned clean a former world champion. People may forget, but Kofi was once the WWE champion, and Javon has a clean on-paper win that they can't take away from him over Kofi Kingston. What a way to keep putting Javon over. I thought it couldn't get any better than last week when they had him qualify over fucking Gunther and a double holding champion in that of Dominic Mysterio, and he went over in that match and pinned the double-time champ Dom. They then have him pin a former world champ here, future Hall of Famer here. They are doing so right by this kid, and I fucking love it. This was the best thing on the show by far for me, aside from the end, but we'll get there, because this just did everything fucking right. This is how you push a new star. This is how you build momentum for a new star and get people invested. This was chef's kiss.
I say this almost every time we talk about Javon, but I am so excited to see where he goes in the future. I mean, I see him, if not Penta next week, I think Dom said, but if not Penta next week, then I see Javon taking the IC title off of Dom. So I see Javon taking the IC title off of Dom. I'm not thinking straight today. But yeah, this was automatically match of the night for me because of the bullshit that was Maxine versus Natty. And then the first match was good. It's just the injury kind of ruined it for me. But I'd gotta say this is like if you like crazy athletic shit, like high flying shit, this is one of the matches for you. And I'm that person, so definitely a good match for me.
People love to say, oh, Triple H botched this man. He didn't take care of this guy or this girl and all of that. He's proven it wrong with Javon Evans. He really is. Pinning a double champion just last week, pinning a former world champion in Kofi Kingston this week, not to mention being the youngest man inside of the Elimination Chamber this Saturday. He is younger than the chamber itself. Think about that. The youngest man in the Elimination Chamber was born after the Elimination Chamber first started up by 2 years. That is how big Javon is, and it is very clear that Triple H is not dropping any momentum whatsoever with Javon Evans. He is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger from here. And people love to forget as well, Kofi Kingston, he's no slouch either. Former world champion, like I said. Kofi Mania was a massive thing with Kofi Kingston, not to mention all of his Royal Rumble appearances and his phenomenal comebacks from those. Like him over here using pancakes as stoppers, him and his handstand walks all the way back to the ring. Like these recoveries from the Royal Rumble just show that that Kofi Kingston is also no slouch either. Just because of the fact that he couldn't beat Brock Lesnar to retain that title way back when, that still does not stop Kofi Kingston. He is still that damn good. And tonight proved that with Javon Evans also looking phenomenal.
This match absolutely sucked. No, I'm just kidding, y'all. Nah, man, I'm just kidding. This was definitely match of the night, man. I didn't really have very high expectations for this match because of how the rest of the show was going for me. So, man, I was like, all right, let's watch this match. And man, this match was a lot better than I thought, man. And you're right, Tommy. We got to give Kofi Kingston a lot of props too, man. Because at his age, what is he, like 45 or something?
I think he's 46 or 47 now.
He kept up with Javon Evans, as crazy of an athlete that Javon Evans is. In order for someone to make Javon Evans look good, Kofi Kingston was able to do that. In order to do that, he has to keep up with Javon. He has to feed Javon. He has to bump for him. Kofi Kingston did a hell of a job tonight. Javon Evans, my God, bro, this fucking kid is amazing. And I also like that they put him with Offset. That also puts new eyeballs on Javon Evans. People that don't know who Javon Evans is or who doesn't watch WWE, they're going to Google Offset for Migos or YouTube, and guess who's going to pop up? Javon Evans. So the WWE is doing everything they can, and they're doing a great job to put over Javon Evans, but it's not all in WWE. Javon Evans has to take advantage of those opportunities, and my God, bro, he's taking full advantage. He got a big win over a former champion. Fucking beautiful match.
You know, WWE used to have a really bad reputation, at least while Vince was running. And I'm not saying it was Vince himself, but WWE used to have this bad reputation where people thought that it was a racist company because for a long time they refused to ever really pull the trigger on any African-American or African-born stars. The biggest African-American star to ever, come into WWE wasn't even created by WWE. It was WCW, and that of Booker T. And then they started putting shine on people like Mark Henry, and then they tried to experiment with people like Omos and Big E finally got that championship. And when it comes down to it, when you look at the table now, look at all the stars they're putting over heavy. Look at who they are: Trick Williams, Oba Femi, Jade Cargill, Lash Legend, okay, Javon Evans, fucking Carmelo Hayes. When you look at it, these are African-American, stars that
Cody
are
Rhodes.
Here's one that's gonna really piss off the audience. Sol Ruca. So for those you don't know, Sol Ruca is actually half black. Her father is African American, and biologically, mind you. So when it came down to it, I think that WWE is really doing their best to go and even going out of their way to reverse that stigma about that they're not an equal opportunity company. And this right here was a perfect example of what the modern day age looks like when more progressive types are in charge of companies like this and break even assumed archetypes. Now, I want to be quick about this CM Punk segment because not a lot happened here. And I was expecting more out of CM Punk. CM Punk came out and said that, it isn't about him. I don't want you to chant me. We're here for AJ Styles tonight. Let's talk about AJ Styles. But before we do, I got a couple of things to cover. He talks a lot about what ifs because we had a video package on Finn Balor where he talks about, what if I had never lost a championship? What if this? What if that? What if this? And CM Punk says, well, you know what? What if I lose at WrestleMania? What if, Finn Balor was the champion? What if this? What if Finn never ruins my final match with AJ Styles I'll ever have? He wouldn't be getting a championship match at Elimination Chamber. What if next week in Indianapolis, when Roman Reigns graces us with his presence, I punch him in his stupid face? What if? Well, I don't like to deal in what ifs. I just do things because I'm the best in the world. He basically puts himself over along with AJ and essentially light promos the appearance of Roman Reigns for next week in Indianapolis. What are your quick thoughts on this, gentlemen? I thought this segment was pretty inconsequential. It didn't really do a whole lot to push any narrative forward for the match at Mania. So I feel like as much as I love Punk and he's my GOAT, that this didn't need to be on the show either.
Yeah, a lot of things didn't need to be on the show, including this. It's a promo. It's fine. It's CM Punk. It's fine. Not a lot of thoughts. Just glad that Punk is still champion, and actually I'm going to save that till Chamber prediction.
They really only wanted him here, at least in this spot, because of the fact that Chamber is this Saturday and he's defending that world title against Balor. That is honestly pretty much it. That, to me, is the only reason why, is because they're trying to hype up even more the fact that he's defending the world title in Chicago at Elimination Chamber against Finn Balor, of all people. So that, to me, really was the only reason why he was here, besides the fact that even in that video package, in which we'll probably talk about later when we talk about the whole AJ Styles portion at the end, that Punk is absolutely one of the bigger feuds that AJ Styles had in the past. It was him. It was Cena. There's a few others there. Not going to name them all, but still, CM Punk is absolutely one of the biggest feuds for two massive men, John Cena and AJ fucking Styles.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I said this didn't really feel like a go-home show, because this is the final Raw before Elimination Chamber. And they're going to have a World Heavyweight Championship match at the Chamber, Finn and AJ Styles. And I love CM Punk, right? I can hear him speak all day, right? But, we get no confrontation. We get no promo battle, no pull apart, nothing for the final Monday Night Raw to hype up their match at the Elimination Chamber. For me personally, I'm already sold on this match. I don't need to see that. But I would have liked to see something more out of this segment from CM Punk. I was expecting to see Finn Balor come out, something, but we got not much of anything.
Yeah, honestly, this show ended at almost 10:40 Eastern time. And between the Maxine and Natty stuff, between the Gunther shit, between this Punk promo, we could have shaved 25 minutes off this show. It was a lot of filler. And here's the problem where you're 100% correct. And we have said this before on this channel, on this podcast, folks. Go home shows are not go home shows anymore. They just aren't. How do you have a CM Punk promo setting up, his feud with, what ifs with Balor? Balor is in the fucking building. You just played a video package that we didn't even need to play. The man's in the building. He could have said this to Punk's face in the ring. That's my problem. We just had him cut a fucking backstage segment with the Judgment Day. And then instead of having him go out there on the mic and say everything that we had in the video package, you kept them apart. This is a go-home show for that final hype push for the big match this weekend. Another problem I have is you have Punk in this promo talking about, what if I punch Roman in the teeth next week? That sentence telegraphed the retention this weekend because he's already looking past Balor at Mania and just looking past him as far as next Monday for a face-to-face with Roman Reigns. This should have been a brawl or a promo segment, a one finish shot, beat down, something, and then not say any of that extra shit because you just basically told us Balor's losing. And that's the problem. I want to suspend my disbelief to hope that maybe Balor maybe stands a chance just so I can watch this match with 10% more. Oh my God, what if? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes what ifs, they are a good thing. Now, moving on to the final match of the night, another chamber qualifier. I believe this is the final chamber qualifier for the women because they said it was a full deck now. This was Io Sky versus Kairi Sane versus Raquel Rodriguez. Now, this match, for the most part, I thought was decent. It was good. It was fine. Raquel got a lot in here. Io is obviously the MVP. She always is. She was, the aerial acrobat. She was all over the place. I almost felt bad for her, but then I remembered she's a cardio machine. The amount of time she had to hop up to that top turnbuckle in this fucking match just to try to hit that over the moonsault. She looked exhausted as shit. This match ended because as soon as Raquel was put down on the ground for Io to hit an over the moonsault, Kairi Sane shoves Io Sky off the top rope and then goes to hit the insane elbow drop. Raquel gets the legs up and then fucking nails her with the Tejana bomb. And Raquel Rodriguez, which surprised me, is the one who won and qualified for the chamber. This is a good fucking season for the Judgment Day, isn't it? Dom is double champ. Finn's got a World Heavyweight Championship in the main event, basically, of Elimination Chamber this weekend. And you also have to sit here and realize Liv just won the Rumble. She's going to Mania. Now Raquel's in the... I mean, this is full marks, aside from poor JD, full marks for the Judgment Day going on right now. They're in full swing. This is hitting home runs left and right. But what did you guys think of this final match of the evening?
The match was good. Poor Io happened to hop up to try to get the over the moonsault, but never did it. But for me, it was obvious that it was going to be Raquel. I mean, Rhea's in there, so I mean, you're not going to have Io in there. I mean, even though you did it last year with Bianca and Naomi, but point is you're not going to put them in there. And then Kairi, just Asuka's in there, so I mean it's got to be Raquel. Plus Raquel just looks better in that spot than the other two do, in my opinion. If you don't agree, then okay, cool. But I liked the match. The match was cool, but it was very predictable for me.
Yeah, very predictable for you, but I thought Io was going over. I really did. I said it last week when we were talking about this match happening, that I thought that, Rhea's in there. Io will be next to go in. And then this match happened. And then after it, the first thing that popped into my head is Raquel makes more sense. Because there is not a single full tag team in that Elimination Chamber. There's not. Charlotte Flair had her shot, but did not make it in. Kairi Sane and Io Sky in the same match did not make it in. There is not a full women's tag team in that Elimination Chamber. Why would they change it up now at the final qualifier? It just made no sense. And after that match is when I realized. So, like I said with the men as well, the chamber is made for big, strong people. And when it comes to the women, not just name-wise, maybe there's a few bigger, But size-wise right now, there is almost no one bigger for the Elimination Chamber right now than Raquel Rodriguez. And with that being said, there you go. You've got JD McDonough with a world title opportunity this Saturday.
Finn Balor.
Finn Balor.
Said
JD.
I bet. Yeah, poor JD. He didn't get shit out of this. But yeah, Balor gets a world title shot this Saturday. You've got Liv Morgan, who's not only going to WrestleMania, but will be guaranteed a world title shot at WrestleMania. You've got Raquel Rodriguez being in the Elimination Chamber. You've got Dominic Mysterio not only being Intercontinental Champion, but AAA Mega Champion. As Blood said, the Judgment Day is just riddled in success right now.
Yeah, this was a time where I took to step away from my screen and enjoy some dinner because I'm like, man, they're not going to put over Raquel because Raquel never wins any fucking thing important, right? And it's Kairi saying, sorry, Mr. Blood, don't give a shit about her. Io Sky's going to win this thing, right? So I'm like, whatever. And then I come back and fucking Raquel Rodriguez wins. I'm like, what? Oh my God, this is crazy. But I'm glad, man. I'm glad that Raquel Rodriguez is going to be in the chamber. We're going to do predictions later on in the week. But I think I have my favorite pick for.
I got to be honest, genuinely thought Kairi Sane was going to win this. And I'll tell you why. The story of them trying to guarantee that Asuka gets Asuka's in the chamber, correct? So my brain said there was a story where they guaranteed that Kairi was like, I promise I'm going to make sure you're world champion. I figured they were going to put Kairi in there so they could do the story with the problems of them and Rhea. I thought that was going to be a story in there and Rhea was going to take them both out. So I was thinking Kairi makes the most sense to finish that story of the Kabuki Warriors trying to power their way into getting Asuka into a world championship match. But good for Raquel. Again, Judgment Day, probably throwing back a few tonight in Atlanta. I know I would be. Poor JD's probably picking up the tab.
You
just muted yourself, bud.
Now, what came next was the end of the show, which, if you're like me, you've been a wrestling fan for a quarter of a century. I've been a fan for 25 years of pro wrestling. I've also, the first live show wrestling I ever went to, I've said this before, was TNA. I've met AJ, got his autograph. I've loved his career start to finish. He is probably, in my opinion, the most consistent performer I have ever seen, top to bottom, no matter what he's done in any company in all of pro wrestling history. I think he is the most consistently great performer that I've ever seen. Only second to that of probably Shawn Michaels. Now, when it came down to it, we had this beautiful video package. Can you take me higher? What a song. And I thought it was great, brought a tear to my eye. AJ comes out and answers all these questions fans are asking. People want to know why I didn't leave my gloves in the ring at the Royal Rumble. It's because I wanted to take them with me so I could leave them here at home with you. For those of you who may not have known, he's a Georgia boy from Gainesville, and he said he needed to finish it here. Through teary eyes, he said he's a man of his word and that this retirement is for real. There's no coming back. There's no doing again. He's a man of his word, and your word is all you have. He thanks his wife for holding down the fort all those years on the road, and he says, there is nothing more important to me right now than being a father, because I have never been a full-time father because I dedicated my life to this. And I thought it was beautiful. The locker room comes out, gives him a standing ovation. And when, of course, we realize you can never trust the all rights reserved copyright logo, dong, The Undertaker comes out, American Badass on that gorgeous ass bike, comes into the ring, and for a moment teased a Mania rematch with AJ Styles in front of actual fans, which for a moment I went, what? And then he swerved us and let AJ know he is officially the second announced induction into the 2026 WWE Hall of Fame. Guys, if you think he's going to AEW, I got some bad news. Our man is sticking to this. This was a beautiful segment. AJ Styles, what a fucking career. Thank you for all the memories. And man, I can't wait to hear what he's going to say at the Hall of Fame this year. Guys, what did you think?
I may not have been a wrestling fan as long as most of the other guys on this panel have, but I can still say I've been one long enough to get to know AJ Styles and where he's come from, what his career has been like. And all I'm gonna say is I'm gonna fucking miss this man, because I don't know why this one hit worse than Cena. Somehow this one hit worse than Cena for me. I almost started crying, but didn't. I don't know why. And then I genuinely thought at the end we were getting Styles versus Taker in an actual match at Mania. I'm like, you're serious right now. But then we got the second best thing, which is in the Hall of Fame, which I am so proud for him. Thank you, AJ, for all the memories, and just thank you.
I definitely have not been a wrestling fan for as long, but I will gladly admit that AJ Styles' speech and the video package and everything else, it was close to Cena's for me. It really was. Cena's up there, and then barely underneath that for me is AJ Styles in this whole thing. Because holy crap, this entire thing just brought a tear to my eye and all of that. But I said, oh shit, as soon as the lights went out. Because lights went out, dong. I'm like, oh shit, Taker's here. Let's do it. Because I wasn't sure which way he was going to show up. Was he going to go, hey, look, lights on, there he is behind him? Or was he going to come out as the American badass on the bike? He chose the latter, which I am so damn happy, beyond compare, because I absolutely love that. When it comes to good old AJ Styles being inducted into the Hall of Fame, well deserved at this point. I feel like he should have been in there like 2-3 years ago at that point. Like, hell, I think he should have gone in with Rey Mysterio. Like, that's how I personally feel on it. But already, think of the two people that have been announced. AJ Styles and Stephanie McMahon. This sucker is already pretty damn stacked in very memorable names. Now, there's two that I'm hoping they say, because if one of them does happen, it is going to bring a tear to my damn eye real quick. One of them being John
Wilson.
Hell no. One of them being John Cena. I seriously hope that Cena goes into the Hall of Fame and all of that.
Disagree. I love that AJ is going in this year, but every year they always highlight one main person for the Hall of Fame. I thought it was going to be Stephanie, because how do you have Stephanie play second fiddle to anybody else? But then how do you have AJ Styles play second fiddle to someone else as the main inductee? That's why Ray was the main of his year. Taker was the main of his year, so on and so forth. Cena has to go in as the main of his year. He should not be this year. You can't stack him up with AJ and Stephanie, because then they all have to split the attention, and one means way more than the other two. I think Cena's got to go in next year by himself, not this year.
Okay.
Yeah,
second year, next year it is. But the second name that I would love to have in there is someone we all thought was going to be in there last year after his passing, Bray Wyatt. I feel like with the career that he had and the unfortunate match that ended up being his last without any of us knowing it, I would love for them to announce that Bray Wyatt will be going into the Hall of Fame, and I want Bo Dallas to induct him.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice little moment with AJ Styles. I'm glad we got to see him again. I was wondering if we were. And I was also wondering why in Atlanta, but yeah, they explained that he's from Atlanta, so that makes. But unlike Mr. Blood, I'm not really too familiar with AJ Styles outside of the WWE. I mean, I'm a fan of AJ Styles. I'm very familiar with what he's done since he got to the WWE. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm the biggest AJ Styles fan because I didn't watch TNA. I don't watch New Japan, nor do I have the time. I know I'm going to get shit for it. Nor do I have the time to sit there and Google and YouTube old fucking AJ Styles matches from TNA and New Japan as much as I'd like to. I just don't have the time. But the 10 years that AJ Styles has given to the WWE have been amazing. He had a nice little moment there where he shared some wonderful words about his family, which I can relate to. Yeah, I mean, we saw people throughout the show from TNA like Abyss, which I'm sure a lot of TNA fans are happy about that. We saw Frankie Kazarian. AJ Styles also mentioned Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe, who are in AEW right now. So that was cool. And yeah, seeing The Undertaker show up was also dope, man. I think it was a nice little farewell for AJ Styles. Because I believe someone mentioned that AJ Styles retired The Undertaker, if I'm not mistaken. That was Undertaker's last match of AJ. So, I mean, he got to go out on his own terms, man. And I'm happy for AJ and happy for the moments that he gave us, man, as wrestling.
Yeah, man, it really made me wish that we had that farewell promo from John. Because, you know, a lot of the greats, I remember Ric Flair's original retirement speech after his match with Shawn here in Orlando. I remember fucking Edge's original retirement speech when he had to give up for injury. I remember Shawn Michaels' retirement speech. I remember Daniel Bryan's original retirement speech. You know, it would have been nice to have gotten something from John, because when you see, you know, AJ do it, it makes you wonder what could have been had John come back and said his final piece to the fans. I thought that would have been great. But this was overall a decent show of Raw, but an extremely disappointing go-home show, guys, for this February 20. And I'm keeping it real, guys. You know, for this February 23rd edition, these go-home shows, they need to figure out a formula that makes it feel like a go-home show, because aside from the qualifiers, nothing else set up shit for this fucking weekend. Nothing at all. It was pointless. More of this was about what Mania could be like rather than the show at hand. And I think the most important thing on the show is AJ, but between disappointing injuries, between bullshit match finishes, between extremely predictable conclusions for the women's, and the only great match on the show, Javon and Kofi, this was not a go-home show feel, guys. But thank you for joining us here on another episode of Snug Wrestling. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thanks for kicking it with us. We appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. As always, don't forget, we're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night after Raw, NXT, and SmackDown go off the air, respectively, on YouTube Live, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and Facebook Live for post-show reviews and for bonus content, reaction content during the weekly WWE broadcast on all of our social medias everywhere. Check that out. Then hang out with us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and 8 o'clock Central on TikTok Live, where myself, Mr. Blood, and the fearless leader of Snug Wrestling, Edgar, go one-on-one for random or relevant wrestling topics for 1 hour, and we answer your fan questions live. And of course, follow us on all social media platforms, as well as on Apple and Spotify. If you miss these shows live, every episode is uploaded to YouTube, Apple, and Spotify after the shows go off air. And mark your calendars. This Wednesday, the 25th of February at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock Central, we will be doing Elimination Chamber predictions. Come hang out with us for that and cast in your predictions in the comments live on the feed. Support the podcast by heading over to tpublic.com/Snug Wrestling, where you can pick up your Snug Wrestling merch to support the podcast. Guys, until next time, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. Boys, this is the last time for AJ Styles. This is one time for the last time. I said 4 letters.
4 letters.
One
One word.
word.